But we can, I think, turn to chapter 2 because, so chapter 2 is titled A Whole Chapter on Brain Science. And I was not looking forward to this part of the book. I'm going to be honest. When I was looking about buying this book, I was like, oh, the beginning part is going to be a drag because I do not really like science that much. And I know there's some more like action step oriented components to the second half of this book. I thought this chapter was going to be the worst chapter, and I read it while my kids were playing this morning, which I was kind of shocked that I could even do that because I thought they would distract me. But, you know, I'm just not a scientist. So again, I wasn't looking forward to this at all, chapter 2. And like I just said, maybe I am finally ready to hear this behind like how our brains are connected to our bodies, where chronic pain is concerned. The words that were used in this chapter were a little different. Obviously they're going to continue using mind-body science as like a concept throughout this book. They also talk in this chapter about biopsychosocial and psychophysiological symptoms. Both of those words were used. I don't know if you're like me or not, but like when the word psycho or the root word psycho gets used in these medical terms, immediately I tend to shut down. I can't think how my headaches or my neck pain have anything to do with my brain. And I already said this, but I really prefer something else that she says in this book, which is that this is dysregulation of the nervous system. And I don't know why. I don't know if that's only me. I don't know if I'll be alone in this. Reading this book, especially this chapter that gets very sciencey, that was something I just kept noticing, was like, ooh, don't like that. I soldiered on and got to this section where she starts talking about other scientific articles, other experiments that have been done in recent years. She talks about specifically an experiment by Michael Danino at Harvard Medical School. Basically, they brought a bunch of people with back pain and they let some of them continue on doing whatever they've been doing as their pain management. And then a third of the group did, a mindfulness stress reduction program where they learned about mindfulness techniques to address their pain. And then the last group learned about the psychophysiological model of pain and used the mind-body techniques. And the results were quite significant for the last group, which I think is really interesting. And there's a couple of other studies that she mentions but doesn't go into as much detail about. I might dive into those more. But she ends this chapter with another personal story about a scientist who had chronic illness, multiple serious chronic illnesses. And in this story, all of the stories at the end of the chapters are written from the perspective of the person who was struggling with chronic pain. I think they were slightly edited, but mostly it's in their own words. So in the story, she's talking about everything going on with her and how she, as a scientist, is going down all these rabbit holes to try to figure out a solution for herself. Her parents were really supportive and helping her and knew all these things that she was experiencing. And one day her mom had stumbled across Nicole's podcast, the author. Anyway, her mom stumbled across the podcast, and then she woke up super excited to tell her daughter about this. And she just wasn't ready to hear it. And I've had this response too. I remember one time a doctor told me that I likely had fibromyalgia. I should start on like antidepressants. I was like, absolutely not. That's not the road we're going down. And even just my husband like connecting stresses in my life to my symptoms, I just wasn't interested in hearing that connection. And she talks about this, you know, like I felt betrayed by my mom. Like she didn't believe me that I had pain, or she thought that the pain was all in my head. Nicole makes it so clear a million times over, like the pain is real, but the solution might have to do with your brain, right? So even though the pain is real, your body going into these like fight or flight reactions around stress, it's sending these pain signals out to your body, telling you to slow down and to protect yourself even when you maybe aren't in like physical danger. I can't explain it as well as she does, and I won't try to. This video is really more of a document of my understanding as I go through this book and through the whole process, the program that she's about to outline here. I very much resonated with the story at the end of chapter 2. Gigi is her name. And her saying, like, I just felt betrayed by my mom. My mom knew I was having all this pain, and now it felt like she didn't believe me, or she thought it was all in my head. And of course, as the story ends, she circles back to her mom, kind of opens up to this idea that there could be a connection, and ultimately she finds really good success with this program. I wanted to film this before I read chapter 3 because like I said, I feel like my perception is evolving as I start reading this book, and I don't want to miss my initial thoughts and reactions and feelings that I'm feeling now because I've read, 1, 2, or 3 more chapters. So I want to come back and talk to you guys some more after chapter 3 and just keep seeing if me kind of documenting this process is something I want to continue with, if I think it would be worthwhile for other people. I am not fully sold in to this entire process yet, but I am very hopeful, and I am very curious, I guess, to continue reading and to continue trying something. I'm sure it was just a TikTok, but I saw a video the other day where someone says, I would die for my kids. And then the video goes on to say, but would you live for them? Would you eat healthy? Would you get better sleep? Would you drink more water? Would you do all the things that we have decided keep us healthy? And that's kind of where I'm at with this. Like, why wouldn't I try it? Because I'm sick of having days where I feel completely incapable of playing with boys and being myself and being productive. I've tried a lot of different things, I feel like I've gone down several rabbit holes before now, and nothing is really stuck as a real solution. So yeah, I'll see you back here after chapter 3.